Welcome to Cigar Time, your ever so friendly cigar, ever so friendly show all about premium cigars and whatever the hell we feel like talking about.
I can apologize next week, yeah.
You may have noticed the set looks a little bit different today. We changed these two boxes, so you may have seen that. Actually, we've got some guests. For years and years, we've talked about supporting your local tobacconist. We don't have a store in every corner, but at this time of the year, it's a great place to go and smoke, hang out at lounges. So we decided to put our money where our mouths are, and we've invited other cigar stores to come hang out on the show and like put them through the torture that we go through every week.
Yeah.
So
be tortured
I'll introduce everybody. We've got Dave from Wood and Indian.
Hello.
This is Trey from Cigar Mojo.
Hello.
And Joni from Smoking Dog.
Hi.
And Rob from Cigar Cigars.
How you doing?
And I'm me. So welcome everybody.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's a friendly industry. It's one of the things that attracted me to it, and I mean, you guys know each other really well. I know you guys not that well, but we have hung out at the pool. We have done that.
It's an
you're
amazing
correct.
area. All the retailers are using the same representatives.
Yeah.
And we're all friendly. It's not like Texas.
Yeah.
Right,
exactly. Absolutely. Yeah. So
Don't make fun
we
of
figured,
Texas.
what the heck? Let's do it. See, now that's one of those words.
What?
That you
No, I said Texas. Don't make
whatever. All right,
I could've
there's
said
your first.
Texas. That's
There's
what,
your
you
first
know.
one. Oh yeah, I guess you can say that. Anyway, I wanted to start off by letting you guys, Dave, if you want to kick us off, just tell us a little bit about your store and.
Start the cigar first? Or
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
We are reviewing good because I have a good story about this.
Good.
We're gonna do the Leaf by Oscar. This is the Connecticut, and I looked up the blend on this, and I was surprised. I did not know this, which it surprises me very much that this is a Honduran Puro. It's actually a Honduran Connecticut wrapper, which I guess I didn't know they really. Now it comes with this fancy leaf thing. What this does is actually acts as cellophane, and it protects the cigar. You take it off, and then you smoke the cigar. And another interesting thing is the band is actually made from tobacco or I don't know if it's pulverized tobacco or what, but you can smoke through the band. And I actually sometimes
it actually does change the taste.
I like it.
I like it too.
So you are supposed to remove this. So my first introduction to the Leaf was a friend of mine or somebody from one of the customers in our store just left one on my desk and said, "Here, try this." So I'm like, "All right, cool." Smoke the cigar, and he comes in a couple days later, and he's like, "How'd you like that cigar?" I was like, "It was good." I said, "But it was really, really messy." And he's like, "Did you take the leaf off?" And I'm like, "No." So
You actually
I didn't
smoke the whole thing that way.
I did. You know what? I think I did. I don't remember.
Oh my God.
But how was nobody had ever heard of this before.
I think we've all seen that in our shops.
Oh,
where
yeah.
the customer will just like that.
How did it
But it's
taste?
one of the cleverest marketing items that's ever come
Yeah.
up, because people walk in the humidor, they take one look at it and they go, "What the hell is
Right.
that?
Yeah, that is
Yeah.
Who
ugly.
would buy that?" And
Yeah.
you tell them there's something beautiful under that wrapper.
It's funny is I say the exact same thing.
Especially the Maduro. The one
I
Maduro's
kind of like
gorgeous.
look at that tobacco as a cocoon.
It is. It's like
'Cause the
it's like
smoke is a
Christmas morning.
butterfly.
Every time you get that cigar, because you get to unwrap it
That's a
and
great
you get
description.
to see. It is. It's Christmas morning.
And it generates a conversation every time that customer sees it. Whatever, if it's the first time they've seen it, or even if they've smoked it many times, they want to say, "Why do they do this?" or "How did this come about?" And then we've heard the story multiple times from Oscar, from Jim. And the reality is, it's an eye-catching experience, and people are going to at least talk about it. And that's what all these manufacturers are trying to do anyhow. Get them to talk about our cigar.
I had a marketing and design expert look at that and say, "That is a great idea. Nothing stands out in your humidor like that."
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, it's been said before. I say this all the time, and I didn't come up with it, but marketing sells the first cigar, the blenders sell the rest. Sure.
That's
And
true.
although, yes, it is a gimmick to get you to smoke the cigar, cigars are fantastic. I mean, they're really good.
But isn't it also a gimmick that kind of gives you some advanced performance on the wrapper of the cigar, meaning keeping some of those oils where you get the flavor from the tobacco to begin with? It kind of keeps that in there, whether that was the designed effect or not. that's kind of the end result. It's like the
I think-
shrapnel of what they.
I think it
put in
actually
there.
is the design result.
Well, yeah, and,
Yeah.
and it adds to the experience. I mean, it really does.
Yeah, at least when the customer runs it under his nose, it smells like tobacco and not cellophane.
I know, right? I always
Great
tell
cellophane.
people
Right.
to save this leaf and just to take a big whiff of it because it smells like tobacco, although sometimes it'll make you sneeze. But
Oh, yeah.
I'm always like, just
Like retrohaling.
this is
Always makes
what
me
this
sneeze.
cigar is made of, people. Because some people really, they don't really get it, and they don't care to get it. Maybe they don't know. I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's interesting because I think some customers, you're right, they don't care. They just want to smoke the cigar,
Mm-hmm.
like whatever. And then there's other customers who really like learning about it and finding out like what's the blend, and some get into the like, okay, what region of Nicaragua did this
Yeah.
tobacco come from, and it's interesting.
No, they love it. I mean, Trey just said it. It promotes conversation, and that's what you want in a humidor.
Yeah,
You don't want somebody sitting at the counter out there. You want somebody inside, knowledgeable, who's willing to talk about cigars. And believe me, there's just miles and miles of conversation that goes on in the humidor.
absolutely. And that's what makes it. I think that's what makes it fun for us too.
Absolutely.
Is when you have somebody who's engaged and they want to know, and it's just like, all right, cool. This is what I got into this for.
And,
Yeah.
and when somebody comes to you and says, "Wow, I went in the humidor with John the other day. He is just the best." And my individual employees develop followings where they'll come into the store and see John and say, "Where's Cameron?" They'll actually
Right.
look for that person
Right.
to go in the humidor with them, which I think is astounding. I love it.
Yeah, that's a really good compliment to you and your store too.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Now,
Yeah.
now,
it is.
now we can.
What's
I'm
that?
sorry. I'm sorry. No, never mind. This is your show today.
No, what were you gonna say? You're allowed to talk.
No, now we
for once.
can. That's a good segue to
Oh.
talk about
we're all
everybody's store.
If we're going to do introductions, we got to go ladies first.
Ladies
I mean, we
first.
Ladies
got to go
first?
ladies
Yeah,
first,
that's
right? I
right.
mean, it's not my show. I'm overstepping
This is
my
the
bounds
new
here.
millennium, man. You can get hit for that.
Yeah, you know what? In opening doors, some women don't like it. I'm still like, thank you.
I know.
love a man that gives me respect for being a woman.
But
not.
How'd
it's
you
not
ever end up in the
misogyny,
military?
I love the military too.
Think about that from
Yeah,
a
they
man's
treat
perspective,
people
though.
nice.
You go, you open the door for one woman, and she wants to punch you in the
I
face, and the
know.
next one's like, chivalry's dead. I'm like,
So
I
punch
know.
your back.
Now, I apologize in advance, but are you saying that figuring out women can sometimes be difficult?
oh,
Oh,
yeah.
That doesn't make any
That's-
sense, and I don't.
That's
I don't
news.
apply
Like
to
the
that.
weather.
I don't
may
apply
have
to that
strayed.
thinking.
We may have
Oh
strayed.
yeah, you do.
Yes.
Yeah, you do. Yeah,
right.
you do. Women are like the weather. It's okay. We understand. You guys don't have the hormones we have. You
Yeah.
don't have all those squirrels in your brain running around like we do.
And we're also not smart.
No. Squirrels around my brain. I don't know. I don't know if anybody would want to live up here for a week.
The smartest thing you do is just don't argue with a woman.
I think that's good advice.
That
That's
is
good
great
life
advice.
advice.
Good. Yes, you're
She's
absolutely right.
always right, especially if it's your wife or your mother or
Or your
your
girlfriend
sisters or your girlfriend. Yes.
and your wife at the same
Anyway,
time.
yeah, both. Yeah.
Yeah.
So who are you?
Yes. Who
Yeah.
who be you?
So I'd be Johnette Kraft.
But do you go by Jeanette or Joni?
I go by Joni with all my friends, but I use Johnette because if people are calling me and they ask for Johnette, I know it's not someone who I know well.
Ah,
people
that's
who
good.
know me well
Smart.
will call me Joni.
Very
so,
smart.
And I mean, my name is Johnette, but everybody calls me Joni that knows me. So,
Where are you from? What's your deal?
so we have 2 locations. We have a shop in Maple Shade. We don't have walk-in humidors as you two do. We have just like the cabinet shelves in Maple Shade. And then our location in Mount Holly, we have a walk-in, a small walk-in, about 300 facings in Mount Holly and close to 900 in Maple Shade. So
Wow.
very different
Wow,
shops. They both have a place you can sit in the back and relax, you know, and I mean, that was important. The whole idea of me opening up the store to begin with was I wanted a place where we could come together with people and talk and smoke and relax. I didn't want
Yeah.
it to be an in, out, in, out. I wanted to have that, you know, you get to know people. The conversations are amazing that we all have in our lounges and humidors.
A lounge is
So
essential.
Oh,
Yes.
absolutely.
it is. You can't have a store without one, I feel. I mean, if you do, it's not a real cigar store. Not that I'm trying to insult anyone with that. Anyone out there.
Well, I mean,
But-
some people they do what they do, but I can't imagine having a cigar shop without a lounge. In fact, I think
Yeah.
we almost design everything around the lounge.
Yeah.
Well, an
Yeah.
upstart company is not going to begin by getting that type of a lounge can never be profitable. It's not a profit market.
Right, no.
It's impossible.
The only
So
profit
for
from
a
it-
small
oh,
store just opening up, facing what they have to face, and that's putting cigars on the shelf, a section of their store, a large section of their store that's not going to make money for them is not an attractive thing. So to begin with, it can be really hard to have a lounge.
It is, but I mean, you sell memberships, so it's. I mean, you're
Sure.
not selling anything from it, but I mean, so that you can realize some profit there. But then you could also make the argument that the discounts eat that right back up. But
The discounts heated up, and the fact is that if your membership is a friendly one, you might be covering the rental of that square footage
Yeah.
that you're investing, but you're not going to recover the utilities, the parties, the pizza, the recovering of the chairs, this, that, the other thing.
I look at all that as almost like a
Necessary.
marketing. It's like a marketing line item in your
Absolutely.
budget.
That's what I do
Necessity.
too. Yeah.
That's what it is. Just
Yeah.
like almost like
Advertising.
humidors. Humidors are, to me, are almost marketing that you can sell. Because you got to have humidors. We don't sell a ton of them. I don't know if you guys do, but you got to have them.
Yeah,
You got to have cutters and lighters, and everybody's got one. But
humidors at the Wooden Indian are out. I'd much rather put in cigars.
yeah,
They take up a lot of room. You actually do well with them on Father's Day and Christmas, and other than that. And I can't tell you how many humidors I have sold right out of the Diamond Crown catalog.
oh yeah,
Pick a good one that's a reasonable price. You're not playing with these $25 humidors, which, by the way, we make a fortune on trying to keep humidified. You're dealing in a completely different situation.
Yeah.
And I welcome the fact that I have that shelf space back again.
yeah. You're right. So where are you from, Dave?
Wooden Indian Tobacco Shop, Havertown, Pennsylvania. Started out in 1959, and those who know Delco, at the Bazaar of All Nations as a cigar chest. Moved into Havertown about 35, 40 years ago, and I took it over in 2005. It was a small 800 square foot shop. The lounge was whatever was available in the retail area. We had Smokey in there, but most of the time it was like living in a forest fire. Had a humidor that was 220 square feet. Had about, when I bought it, it had 125 open boxes in it. When I moved, it had about 800. Moved over to a larger location, about 3,000 square feet. We now have 1,000 square feet of walk-in humidor.
Yeesh.
We
That's a
have,
big humidor.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry,
Yeah, it is.
yes, 1,200 square foot lounge and an 800 square foot retail store. We are now up to somewhere between, it varies between 1,400 and 1,500 open boxes in the humidor, and I'm really pleased to say it's doing very nicely.
Good.
Yeah, you've been around. I remember when you was it the Manoa Shopping Center?
Sure
Yeah.
was.
I
You
remember
couldn't
when you
find
were
it.
there.
You could be
Deep
in their
in the
parking
corner.
lot and never see the store.
Deep
Yeah.
in the parking lot. As a matter of fact, I believe the gentleman who owns this shop, Arthur, was vying for the store at the same time I was.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You outbid Art.
I'm
We're out
not
negotiating
sure what the issue was, but
Okay.
You're trying to cause
yeah.
trouble.
So
Art's
yeah,
not
we-
here.
right.
Art's not here.
we,
Oh, yeah, then you're-
we love the cigar culture. We hope that in our way we help it expand through the knowledge of my salespeople who, until we're sure they have that knowledge, we really don't loose them onto the general public. And because of that knowledge, again, that friendship in the humidor, that's established the business.
Yeah.
So at this location at 95 South
South.
Eagle Road,
Thank you.
next to the firehouse,
Cut you right off.
there's a component that you didn't mention, and I'm sure the audience would be very interested in.
What, our dance studio?
No, your e-commerce, because the biggest change, and I used to work for Dave, and we'll get to my story in a second.
know
but
that.
The e-commerce section of it is something that I've seen just from being in the cigar world in our area that has expanded tremendously for you, where in fact I'll Google a cigar, maybe get some information from it, and the Wooden Indian, if it's not at the top, it's one of the top 3 or 4. So maybe you could talk a little bit about that, because I'm sure the audience would be interested in
Scott,
hearing
you
that
want to
too.
expand to that now?
What's that?
Conversation about e-commerce?
We can.
We,
Let's
we're,
let-
not, we're not all introduced yet.
Yeah, but I just wanted you to make just a quick bit about how that is, because it's interesting, not only to myself,
About
but I'm sure to others.
Yeah.
About 5 years ago, we decided to go e-commerce. To begin with, I thought it was an utter and complete waste of almost 300 hours. We launched it. All of our pictures were original and everything else. And the first thing we found out real fast was we couldn't compete with the big guys.
Yeah.
It was kind of like, all right, I've done this, and we did what we could, and we had a little bit of business out of it. But when COVID came in and we realized that we were only going to be curbside pickup and everything, we decided that we had to. I like to say we learned how to skate backwards. Anybody who's ever been on ice skates and enjoyed it at some point or another has decided, I'm going to try to skate backwards. At which time they fall on their ass about 3 or 4 times, get up, and finally know how to skate backwards. And what we did was we became much more creative with e-commerce. And I have to say, it really saved our bacon.
Really?
We have a really wonderful crew at the store. Between my general manager, Dan, and my e-commerce specialist, Todd, they put together deals and things that made e-commerce work for us. And it really picked up where it had to be. Once we established ourselves there, all of a sudden, we have a very large audience. We're very, very quick to get things out there, which is why when you look up a cigar, you'll see that we pop up quick.
Yep, frequently.
We're very, very there, ready to press the button when the cigar is released.
That's great. That's awesome. We,
It is.
I think right after COVID, or during COVID, we realized we can't be lost with our pants. We can't get caught with our pants down again. So that's when we launched the sampler website, our online version of that. Because it just, I mean, we're all lucky that we survived through COVID.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I had just the Doylestown store. I had opened like 6 months before COVID hit.
Great timing.
Oh,
Yeah.
God, no, right? And I'm just like, you got to be kidding me. And the store was struggling as it was because it was brand new. And then COVID came along and we were shut down for 2 months and I still had to pay the rent.
Well, we were fortunate. I didn't have to lose one employee. Nobody lost any hours. I was able to maintain.
That's great.
And
That
a lot
is.
of good
That's awesome,
stores
yeah.
lost really good people because of COVID, because they just couldn't. The attitude was, all right, I'll put in more hours, but I got to let somebody go. And that was a necessity.
Yeah.
I was very fortunate. I did not have to do that.
Well, we all went on unemployment
Yeah.
as partners. Yeah, we had no money. We had to.
Well,
Yeah.
and we were
Well,
lucky
when the
'cause our
state of
base
Pennsylvania
was-
came in and said, everybody shut down, but the beer distributors can stay open,
And yeah,
I
And-
Target,
looked at my manager, Dan, and I said, you know what? We're as
Grab some
bad-
beer.
We are as bad a habit as alcohol is. If they can stay open, damn, we're going to do business through our front door, not let anybody in, curb service, and I would say 95% of our customers had no problem with that. They wanted to go in the humidor. They wanted to walk around, but we couldn't let that happen.
yeah.
Yeah, we did the same thing where we just did curbside. Well, we started off doing delivery, but no one wanted to pay for delivery, so it was out in the parking lot, and it was like, doing these drug deals out there. 'Cause
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
exchanging
The back
money
door,
and giving them
yeah.
their cigars.
Right.
And then the first time it rained, we said curbside. No, we're not going out there in the rain. But the thing is, customers with cigars, I feel like they're some of the loyalest people. I mean, they might go to other stores and they might say, which is great. I always encourage people to go and look at other stores. But
Obviously,
during
we
that,
did.
yeah, during that whole time, I mean, our regulars, and when I found out the people who were really there for us, because they would come by and get everything, and
Yeah, but
They
still
took
in
care
all,
of us.
come spring, and you're looking for those golfers
Oh,
who
yeah.
come, who
No, you're right.
sprout up right after the crocuses.
yeah,
Uh,
and
and
no
they-
golf,
and
so
They're
yeah,
they're not there.
it's funny you couldn't be outside and play golf.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And so that's the cool thing that you guys here at Cigars put this group together here, because the proudest moment getting through COVID for me is that the pivots that we had to make as retailers in this premium cigar industry, and I can't think of one in our general vicinity that shut down post-pandemic, whether we're still in it or at the end of it. So you had to think about that. We can't have people in our stores. They don't know the product unless we have to talk them through it because they can't physically see it, touch it, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And here we are because it's a group, and it's a tenacious group that's able to pivot and say, okay, this is a roadblock, but we're not letting this roadblock keep us from moving forward. And so, yeah, we had to get our stuff together that first day, week, whatever it was, but we're saying, well, we're still paying rent. We're still paying electricity. We still got to pay for Comcast in our case because we had to have security system. So the idea was, well, how are we going to survive? And almost everybody, in their own way, pivoted and was able to say, we're moving forward. Yeah, we could say woe is us and shut it down and not have a chance and hopefully, get some PPP money and move forward in a year or two. We didn't have any idea how long it was going to be. But if you
We
think
thought
about
it was going to be 6 weeks.
But if you think about every brick and mortar in this industry, in our area, they still exist to the best of my knowledge. And I ask reps all the time, who shut down in your...
I can
in
only
your
think
When
of-
did it shut down?
I can only think of one that shut down, and I think it was going to shut down anyway. It was the
Yeah.
Old Havana over in Fairless Hills area, Langhorne.
Okay.
But I don't think it wasn't during. It was after.
I don't think it was caused by.
No,
No.
I don't think so at all.
So we have
think it
one where
caused any-
you look at the restaurant world and how many
Yeah.
restaurants are no
Yeah.
longer there. And it's just it's a testament to people that run brick and mortars on the cigar side that are saying, hey, we're going to get through it. And that's been our mindset because we've had all sorts of different challenges come at us, whether it be regulation, whether it be COVID, whether it be health groups, whatever it is, and that we continuously say, hey, we're going to stride forward and we're going to do it to the best of our ability. And more often than not, it's a pretty damn good experience, at least in this
Yeah.
area for sure.
I think as entrepreneurs, it spurred the creativity because for us, all these restaurants are all of a sudden like, okay, we can eat outside. I'm like, this is really cool. I love eating outside now. I want to eat outside. So
Yeah.
a couple of us were like, you know what? Let's do our own. Let's do our own section outside. I know you guys have a really nice patio, and I don't know if that was planned or if that was as a response to COVID, but that's what we did. I'm like, this is a great opportunity.
So my grandfather has a great line. He said, when luck comes, crap will do for brains. So basically, you talk about that patio. It had already been designed pre-pandemic, and it just happened to be something that everybody's getting from the news about being outside is a way better experience than being indoor to avoid this virus. And we would have people elbow to elbow outside feel comfortable smoking, but we would have one or two in the lounge when we were permitted to open back up, one or two in the lounge, and that would be it. So outside was the way to go. Restaurants figured that out. But again, that gets back to that pivot about, hey, we can do this. We're just going to have to figure out a different way to do it. And that's how this industry has always been and always will be. And that's why it's great to be amongst the retailers that don't quit, don't give up. I mean, it's easy to quit. And everyone says, oh, I want to open a cigar shop every time they walk through our doors. Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
you do.
Yeah,
Oh,
sure.
yeah, you do.
Yeah.
But be prepared to grind, be prepared for some hurdles, because if you think it's going to be easy and you just sit with your friends and smoke cigars,
That's what they think.
you're going to be you're going to be a cigar in about 6 weeks.
What it
You know
looks-
what I mean?
Yeah, right. That's pretty funny. That's very good.
It is funny.
It looks like it's all sitting around.
Oh,
And, I mean,
yeah.
and
Smoke and drink.
it is
party
part
with
of
your
it,
friends.
but people don't
It's a real
understand what
business.
happens.
They don't get that it's a real business.
That's
It is.
That's
It's a
one
lot
of
of
the
work.
problems in our industry is that so many cigar shops are run by people who do not have a business background or have somebody in back of them that does. So many of these shops are, I hate to say it, hobbyists
Yeah.
who
Yeah.
really enjoy cigars and really don't know if or even why they've been successful that year.
Right.
And that's a big deal. I came out of a numbers industry before I went into cigars, and I live with those numbers every morning. You input your day, and I always go and I'm looking at my margin and my year to date and everything that you have to look at in business, and a lot of companies don't. A lot of cigar shops don't.
Yeah.
And that's a big deal. If you're going to survive, you better know that you can survive.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, because you can be good at selling. You can know everything there is to know about cigars, and you can have great sales. But if you're not on the back end, if you're not doing things correctly, and you could end up underwater.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and the way you think about it, I know when we first opened the store, and I'd bring home cash for deposits, and Samantha and Alex were both out of college, or they were in college, and one time Samantha said, "Mom, is that your money?" And I said, "Nope, it's the Smoking Dog's money. The minute I make it my money is the minute I fail. That money is never mine. I pay myself, yes, but that belongs to the Smoking Dog. It is not, I'm just taking care of it for the shop." Because I've seen people where they'll think, "Oh, this is my money, I can spend this, I'm going to go buy," and they're done, because you can't do that. It has to be, you have to have a background of some kind in how to manage money,
Yeah,
and
plus
also how to look at,
the first year in a cigar shop is pure hell.
the first 3 years.
You know, you've either paid
I
for
didn't
the
pay
cigars
myself
that are
the
coming
first
through the door, or
Or you're about
every
to pay
time-
for the next one.
every time you see the UPS driver, you have bad words about him, because you know that checkbook's coming out next. And
I learned a hard lesson this tax year with having a lot more inventory than I did the previous year. And I'm like, oh no, it's not deductible. I'm like, you got, so I'm gonna pay taxes on that.
Oh, yeah.
And I increased my inventory a lot. Like, oh, great. Okay, where's this gonna come from?
Oh, yeah.
My accountant's been helping me with that. He's like,
Yeah.
don't fall for buying all this stuff before the end of the year. Or
Yep.
have them put the invoices for the next year if they can. And I'm just like, no, I'll just quit buying after a certain point and just buy what I need, little bits and pieces.
Yeah, I learned that lesson the hard way. It will not be repeated.
Oh, it took me years to,
Ugh.
because
To
I
buy-
get excited.
To buy right,
Yeah.
it's difficult.
It is.
And it's become more difficult, because when I started in the business, in would come a salesman without mentioning one or another and say, "Smoke this." And you'd smoke it. This is coming out in a month or 2 months. And you'd have a margin of time to make a decision. Today, the salesman comes out and he shows you a picture and he says, "This is coming out in a month or 2 months. What do you want to jump on? How many do you want?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
"Well, I haven't tasted it yet." We don't have that opportunity anymore.
And now it's on back order.
It's
Oh.
You
it's
just
back
missed, you
order.
just missed your chance right
Right.
there.
Yeah, exactly.
And a lot of,
Exactly.
have you guys noticed a lot of new stuff is on backorder right out of the right out of the chute?
Oh yeah, and you gotta follow the rules and regulations now too, because if you don't belong to certain organizations, well, you just don't get opportunities.
Yeah.
There are certain companies that are shipping cigars based on whether you're a member of the association,
Yeah.
which is very frustrating because.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a strong arm technique, which I don't think anybody in our industry is enjoying.
No, you're right. It's just the way the industry's going. Now, I one of the things I wanted to talk about.
Well, wait a second.
Oh, Trey, you haven't had a chance to
I
talk.
was going to say, Trey, where are you from?
So listen,
What's your deal?
this is how we've
Trey
done
doesn't
this.
matter. We can
We,
move on.
we,
Really good people. I've met them.
Everybody knows Trey.
we went from power to beauty to intelligence, and now I'm not quite sure what I bring to the table, because those were kind of my talking points before I sat down. So
I think you
Come
bring the
on.
law.
I'm going to go with youth. That's what we're going to bring to this.
All right.
Yeah.
Go for
My
it.
name,
Comedian.
my name is Trey Roberts. Along with my father, owns Cigar Mojo in King of Prussia. We're proudly owner-operated and veteran-owned. So my dad went to Naval Academy, and that's something that we hang our hat on.
Awesome.
And in today's world, that's even as important, if not more important than anything else we do. My opinion.
All three of us.
I know, but you didn't say it, so
We're
you
all
missed your
veterans.
opportunity.
I didn't say it
You
either.
all missed your
know.
opportunity.
Yeah.
It's the biggest thing you should have mentioned first. However, I've told you, youth
like a
sometimes
jerk.
comes with a little bit of
Yeah.
intelligence. We have a 3,500 square foot building in King of Prussia. It's 197 East of Cobb Pike.
Beautiful
We have a
store.
1,600 square foot outdoor patio that we briefly touched on. That was more luck than it was design, but to me, I've always enjoyed smoking outdoors. I think it's the best way to enjoy a cigar.
Yes.
These times right now, we just came through a snowstorm to get here. You got to get into a lounge, and that's why I believe the lounge is valuable. But before we started this business, my wife said to me, "You've never been in retail." When I said I want to start a cigar store, she goes, "Go work at a shop." And I said, "Wow, that's brilliant." And that's where being married sometimes gives you the leg up. Or having a smart female in your life. I have many, but my wife Maureen said, "Go work at a shop." And I went to multiple stores in the region and ran into Dave Mayer at the Wooden Indian, and he said, "Hey, I have an opportunity." And so as this industry is concerned, he is my mentor, and an individual where I learned a ton, and he allowed me to learn a ton. It wasn't like he segmented me from the business and said, you just ring the register. He was making me smoke cigars. He was making me understand inventory. He was making me understand what the margins were. I mean, so there were so many things that I didn't understand about running a cigar operation, but what I quickly fell in love with, and I think we all agree on, is the people. And that's what we missed in this past 2-year period, but the people. And they're all different experiences, they've got all different lifestyles, and it's just sitting down over a cigar. You're equally the same, and you can share stories back and forth. So that's why I fell in love. Dave is my mentor. My dad and I have been doing this now for almost 9 years.
Wow.
We've had a lot of challenges, including we're on our second location, but we only own one. But that just kind of steeled us. And they just kind of understood that whatever you bring, hopefully not a world war, but whatever you bring, we're going to overcome it. And I figured out really early in my life, because I wasn't smart and I wasn't good looking, but if you don't quit, you can't lose. If you don't quit, you can't lose. And that's a business mantra that we follow all the time. And yes, we've messed up. Yes, we continue to make mistakes. But the reality is just keep moving forward and make it better. And if you make it better every day, the customer is going to see that and they're going to relate to that, because they're like, somewhere in their experience, they messed up, or somewhere in their experience, it was hard for them. But we give them a place of reprieve where they can sit down, smoke a cigar, get away from the world, and enjoy it. And so I love the cigar culture. I love every store because it has its own heartbeat. And people always say, what do you think about this store opening up or that store opening up? I don't care if they open up next door. And a little bit of this is you got to be competitive. And also a little bit of it is believing in yourself. They open up next door, that's great. They have the same product, that's great, but they're not you. And so that's what people come to see. They come to see you. Yes, they love the knowledge. Yes, they love the product. They want it properly maintained. They want a comfortable place to smoke. But they come to see you. They want to say, hey, what's going on over at Cigars? What's going on over at the Wooden Indian, Smoking Dog? Who's there? And sometimes they're happy you're not there, and sometimes they're disappointed. But either way, it's an experience. And so I'm just privileged to be in this business. Yes, it's been a short time. I'm honored to be here on this panel. And looking forward to the topics we're going to discuss, because the best way to grow your business, get around people that do it better than you. And when you do that and you listen and you stop talking, which is hard for me, it's a very good thing.
You busted through it. That's why we brought you in. We wanted to see people who did it better than us.
That's not true. That's not
Jenny,
true.
how long have you been in
wanna
the
bet?
business?
We've been we're 10 years at our location in Maple Shade. We just
Okay.
did our 10-year anniversary, and we had 3 cigars made for that. One from Espinosa, the Alpha Dog, one from Oscar, and he named it the Freedom Dog for us, and then one from Jonas
Dog, right?
from Blackbird. Yeah, Bird Dog. So they're all named after dogs, since dogs are our thing. But yes, we just did our 10-year, and we're at 4 years in Mount Holly.
Nice.
Mount Holly took it harder during the shutdown because we couldn't open up Mount Holly. We couldn't do curbside. It's a small, I mean, it's 300 square feet in the whole shop. So it's a tiny little shop. And anyway, so we couldn't do the curbside or delivery, anything from there. So we just had to close it for about 3 months. And the whole township didn't do well during everything, just because it's such a small, off the beaten path kind of place. So
You lost good people too. during
I
COVID.
did lose some really good people. Shout out to Louis Isabella. Yeah, I did, because I knew I wasn't going to be able to keep them for that. At first I thought we could. I looked at my savings, Pete and I talked about it, and I'm like, okay, if it's, what were they saying at first, 2 weeks, then 4 weeks, then 6 weeks,
Yeah.
and Pete said, this isn't going to be done then.
Yeah,
We
2
aren't going
years-
to be able to
2
do
years
this.
in.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So you put in an extra 20 hours a week or more.
Yeah, and I still am, because I don't have, Louis used to manage things for me. So now that I'm doing all that again, it's I usually get up in the morning, we'll go to the gym, we'll do whatever. I sit and do my stuff at home and then go to the shops. So, and you guys know that. That's what you do. You have to put your heart and soul into it.
So who's running your store now while you guys are here?
We've got Ken at the shop, and then Pete will be in a little bit later. My husband, yeah.
That's cool. That's why I like. We get good people, like you were saying, good people to run the store for you. It's awesome, and they develop, like you're saying, relationships with customers as they come in, and then they just get a following.
I think that's one of the toughest parts of what we do is finding that right person, because you don't want to. I mean, you don't want to find somebody who's just there to ring the register.
The other tough part is delegating the authority for these people to do things.
Yeah.
You got to be real careful
Well,
to begin with, and then you get a comfort zone. And you go, all right, I don't have to worry about this anymore.
I'm actually lucky. I've never Actually, I think there's only maybe one person that I've hired that I didn't really know. Everybody else I knew was highly recommended by somebody who I respected. So I've been lucky in that, but finding somebody, I think it's critical that they understand cigars.
Oh, yes.
Not just sales and not just being friendly with customers, but their cigar knowledge has to be really, really good. Well, I'm sorry, should be good. It doesn't have to be, to like Paul from our show, but, they have to be able to know about different types of cigars, a little bit at least about how they're produced, because that, anytime you have a story to tell a customer, that's great sales.
Yeah.
So,
agree.
I have a question. First, I wanted to talk about boutique cigars, and I wanted to just have a conversation about what your definition of boutique is, because I've read a lot about it, and I've seen stuff in some of the trade publications, and there's vastly different opinions.
Oh, yeah.
And Rob's got a really stupid opinion about what boutique is. So, I don't know. What determines whether or not something's boutique to you guys?
Well, I enjoyed that you gave us those questions ahead of time.
Oh,
So
good.
I started looking up boutiques and what the definition of boutique cigars is, and there's really not a solid definition out there. I mean, we looked, and Pete and I looked up the word boutique, which is boutique shops are specialized shops, either on their own or they're part of a larger store, and there's little specialized areas in there. So with cigars, I mean, it's kind of hard to come up with. I've come up with some definitions, but I don't feel like I'm right. I mean, I feel like I'm still confused now.
Boutiques are a crapshoot.
Yeah.
They
They really are.
really are, because all of a sudden you're selling a name that nobody knows. And depending on that company and what they do to get that name out there, and then what your store has to do to introduce that cigar into their line, can be wonderful or horrible. And if you do take on a lot of boutiques, you better have a discount rack.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because every cigar box on a shelf has got to pay its rent.
Exactly.
If it doesn't pay its rent, it's got to be evicted. Now, this is a problem with some of the larger companies, because you can't discount the way you want to, because when you're under a situation where you've got to get rid of these cigars because they're not going anywhere, with a large manufacturer you can get slapped to death and threatened with, you no longer can have our cigars and any of them, and
Right.
you got to adhere to their minimum discount rate. With the smaller boutiques, it's kind of like, okay, you didn't make the grade, see ya. And there's no conflict, there's no problem.
Right.
That same company will come back to you when they've got something new. Here, try this. This is now the greatest cigar in the world. Don't pay attention to the last cigar, which was the greatest in the
Yeah.
world.
Yeah.
And you march forward and hope for the best. And I've seen companies, oh my gosh, I'm looking at one sitting there right now, that literally small, tiny companies, but when you bring them into your store and start introducing people, you get the second sale. The first sale is not a customer on that cigar. The second sale is.
Correct.
And that means they're coming back for them, they want them again. And you see it also when you do cigar promotions. When the rep will come into the store and you have an evening with him, we like to call them make or break meetings, especially with the boutiques. You have 25, 30 guys in your lounge that all are smoking free cigars, sometimes even unlabeled. And they smoke them, we get their opinions on them, and that has a lot to do with whether we're going to take them on again. Because
That's smart.
when they come in and they want us to take their line on, if they come in with one cigar, we just smile at them and say, go get 4 more. Because there are 5 people in my shop that I get opinions from.
Right.
And that's just the best way in the world to do it. Those 5 people I consider to have great palates for cigars, and their input's important because it's what they like, it's what you like, it's what you like. But then your store has its own profile. I'm sure that, I mean, my cigar shop, the basic profile that I would say is my guys like strong, spicy, in-your-face cigars. But then you have all the other ones too that
Right.
don't like them. So you tend to say, okay, I like this cigar the best, but I think this cigar is the one that's going to take off in the store.
Yeah.
So you can do that with the boutiques. You cannot, in most cases, do it with the larger ones because you're lucky if you get one cigar.
But
I've cut cigars in half and shared them with Dan to see what they were.
I'd
even
like to cut Dan in half.
even with the larger
They're
companies,
not that big.
even with larger companies, like say General or Altadis, when they come out with something new, even that has a shelf life. I mean, it
Yeah.
sales skyrocket, does really well, and then it just evens out. Almost,
Yeah.
there aren't a ton of cigars, newer cigars, I should say, that I think, and this is an exception from a boutique perspective, that have a lot of shelf life. It just
This
up
is
and
a
down.
boutique that took off like I've never seen a boutique
Yes.
take
Yeah.
off.
Yes.
This
I
there's very
believe their
few.
first year they had 60 locations. The second year they had 260. It was an enormous increase.
Yeah.
It was, and people were talking about him. I mean, everybody was. They were coming. Have got the Leaf. And
When's this size coming out?
yeah,
When's
and
this size
people
coming
were
out?
so excited, and they still. I mean, they're very. I'm sure in your stores too. They're just a very.
Consistent.
They've got
Yep.
consistent. They've got their place, and they earn their money.
How about you, Trey? I mean, you guys are. I think you're known for your selection of boutique cigars.
We're known for good-looking ownership, is what we're really known
That's
for.
right.
Now,
Obviously, you're
That's definitely
you're talking
right.
about
I
your
want that
dad.
message to come
That's
through
right,
the
Trey.
camera and
By the end-
permeate the soul of the viewer. That's
And-
what I want that
By the
to
end of
happen
this
here.
panel, you're going to be sure of it too, aren't you?
You know, you are the prettiest one at this table.
That's not true, but I'll
Not
take
true,
second.
Yeah.
So the boutique scenario is very unique because what Dave mentioned a little bit is there's a lot of hit and miss, right? And
Yeah.
you want to get as many hits as you possibly can. You want to limit the misses as best to your ability as possible. But I don't know the definition of a boutique manufacturer, but I do know the result or the success of the boutique manufacturer, and it's right there. It's
Yes.
Leaf. It's Leaf. It's
Yes.
that manufacturer that's no longer considered a small guy. Maybe they were small or brand new when they started in your store. I'll give another example, like Foundation Cigars, right?
Yeah.
It was started the same year I started, 2013, in the industry, and that is no longer considered a boutique. Maybe they only make X amount of cigars. You want to put numbers on it, that's fine. But the knowledgeable cigar smoker is going to walk in there and know that brand, and that's a very powerful thing. And as retailers, at least in my specific opinion, you don't want to miss the train on that boutique that's super hot because you want to be on the ground level with them, and they're going to remember that. You know, it wouldn't have been great to be on the ground level with Fuente or
Right.
Padron.
Yeah.
You don't want to miss that, but
Yeah.
at the same
Yeah.
time, you also don't want to overextend yourself. And now you're sitting with a bunch of cigars that you thought were great, but it's the consumer that's going to let you know in your store. Dave could sell it like crazy. The dog could sell it, all day. But if it doesn't work in your store, it doesn't work in your store.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
just because Cigars is going through 6 boxes a day and you're only moving 2, I don't care what the definition of boutique or not is. And we've shifted at Cigar Mojo our mindset a little bit because of the pressure that we've seen in tobacco, that we've shifted because we want to make sure that we have available tobacco to sell the customer.
Yeah.
And the smaller guys, more often than not, have to buy their tobacco from some of either the growing families or some of the larger manufacturers. And to us, that gave us a little pause because it's great to be out in front and it's great to be kind of first to market. But at the same time, it's also great to have it on your shelf because I don't care how great the boutique is, and we've all gone through this. If it's not on the shelf, I can't sell the customer a promise. I
Yeah.
can't. They're not buying the promise. And if they are, I don't know how to monetize it, so I'm not doing a very good job of selling the promise. So that boutique is something that's readily available, that you grow and it grows with you, and then it's there the next year. And if it's not there in 6 months, you miss. You're right. I mean, they don't have enough supply. I don't care how good it is. You can't sit there and have empty shelf space because you talk
Yeah.
about it. It's got to pay its shelf space.
The other problem with boutiques, of course, is once they're established, usually when they start out, you'll get to meet the owner, the blend master on it, is somebody significant. As they get larger, these people are going, I can't be all
Yeah.
around the world, and they'll turn it over rather than a direct salesman. They'll turn it over to a broker. The brokers are wonderful in this area. We
Yeah.
have some great
Yep.
brokers.
Yes,
Yeah.
we do.
We have
And they
some great
come in
brokers.
and they have that cigar, and you're going, wow, I don't know. And instead of turning the page, they change books. All of a sudden, you start talking about another cigar because they have on their plate 4, 5 different great cigars, if they're smart.
Yeah.
And in that respect, boutique cigars do not get the spotlight that they should have because nobody's aiming directly for the target because the target's got so many different things on it that they can't
That's a good analogy.
they can't hit one target for any length of time.
There's almost like tiers in boutique, I think, because you can have something like a Caldwell, who they started boutique. I still consider them to a certain degree to be boutique, but their foundation's the same way. They're like a tier 1, and then you've got the Leaf, and then you've got somebody like Jonathan Fiant with Jay London.
Yeah.
They're like I don't want to say a lower tier, but they're a little bit smaller, and you've got a bunch of those. And I've got a lot of customers who are always looking for something new and something different. And I realize that when I bring something in that's, let's say, a tier 2, that it's going to sell right away. It may sell in a second round, but I understand that there's going to be a point where it's going to stop, and I have to pay attention to that and realize it and then replace it with something else. Because it's cyclical, and I think it's like I've seen that with almost, again, any cigar that's out there. Anybody, if it's an established company comes out with something new, it's cyclical. It'll stop at some point, and you just have to be. That's what makes it very difficult for a company like ours to have a lot of boutiques. Now, I have a lot in my stores because I'm there all the time and I can pay close attention to it. But I'm one of the owners, so to have a store manager to be able to have that same kind of keep an eye on it the same way that I would is very challenging. So that's why we're really selective on that stuff.
Yeah.
Then you get people that have a following, like when Steve Saka, I call him Grumpy, when he started his business, he had the background and the knowledge of tobacco and a personal following, which helped him take off. Nick Miliero,
Yep.
same thing, had a following, known for the cigars that he was developing and everything. Noel Rojas, who
John Huber.
for years has had lovely cigars, but the marketing was done through another company, and
Yeah.
now I think you'll agree with me. He has pardon me, Street Taco.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's killer.
which we cannot keep on the shelf, but at the same time, he's got a complete line. The small ring cigars, they're absolutely wonderful. Now they're selling now because there's the Street Taco. There are the other ones right next to it. Oh, you like the Street Taco? Have you ever tried any of Noel's other cigars? And that sells those. So you may have been staring at those, but the Street Taco comes in, all of a sudden you're developing a following for the rest of his cigars.
Yeah.
So who and where cigars are made is a tremendous factor.
It
But
is.
that's why it's important to keep your staff apprised and well educated on what's going on, and like, okay, this comes from Noel, and this one also does.
Most of the time they keep me apprised.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But that's the beauty when you're 2 shops, 1 shop, 1 shop. For us, we can bring in those small manufacturers. We have the ear of the owner or the personality, whatever the case may be. It's more difficult for you, maybe not your specific store, but for cigars in general, because you're buying for 19 stores. That's a commitment.
Yeah.
We can buy 6 boxes of three different sizes, put it out there, and if it rolls, and all of a sudden we say, okay, we need a lot more of this. But it gives our ability to be
And then they're back ordered.
and then they're back
Yeah.
ordered.
Yeah.
We're a little more fluid, and we have the ability to be more cyclical in that case. It gives us an opportunity to be kind of in the front of the market, put it out there, and away it goes. For you guys, you got to get 6,000 boxes of it.
Oh no,
that's a
we
commitment.
have test stores.
Okay, so that's a way to
Yeah.
circumvent that a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, they're my stores.
Yeah,
Well,
you're
but not just stores. We have like
we have
5.
We have
We have
5 stores that
that we use
we'll
as
try
test
it out in.
stores.
And so the beauty that Dave was talking about, yes, you have the ear of the owner, and they'll come in and they'll promote their wares, but sometimes you run the risk of every time the owner's there, you sell like crazy. but when the owner's not there, it doesn't move at all. So sometimes that can be a false positive.
Yeah.
Where, well,
Yeah.
we can't keep this in stock. Well, because the owner has got a great personality, but he can't be in your, or she can't be in your store every day. So
I've noticed when Robert Caldwell
Yeah.
shows up, the sales spike, and
Yeah.
they're good for a week, and then they're back to normal.
yep.
How about packaging? How does that come into play when you decide whether or not to bring something in?
Eye appeal is big.
Yes.
Some manufacturers have been using colors that we have not seen in the humidor, and they're eye catchers.
Blackbird.
They are, yeah.
Absolutely. I think packaging is very important, even though I've been very much all my life against the wooden boxes that are wasted.
Mm-hmm.
And people say, oh, that's a gorgeous box. And my temptation is to say, well, you're paying for it with every stick that you're getting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cigar.
Yeah.
I've seen boxes
Oh, you can't
with
say
neon
stick. Rob
lights
has a
in
fit.
them. I've seen boxes that are
It's a
built
stogie.
to a point like, this is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Certain manufacturers are known for it.
Yeah.
And it's unnecessary.
Well, we're switching from boxes, and we ordered just bins. They should be in a
I
couple
noticed that in
weeks,
your.
and we're
I've
gonna-
noticed
yeah.
a lot of that in your social media.
So we are going to go.
Why don't you give a
to-
shout out to Robin?
Oh, I should give a shout out to Robin Cigar.
Oh.
She's been helping me in the store, remarketing everything, and because when you do it for so long, I felt like I was just tunnel visioned, and I couldn't, and I wasn't doing the things I was doing when I first started, when I was so excited, and I'm still excited, but I felt like I was just getting.
You also have more responsibilities as,
Yeah,
as
a
you
lot
get
more
longer,
responsibilities,
longer
so-
in the
So Robin has come in, and she's moving things, and she's so energetic, and she's been in the industry for
Ever.
ever. Yeah.
She started at
And-
Holtz.
Everybody
And
loves
she's
Robin.
wonderful. Yeah, you love Robin because she is. You get just exactly what she is. She doesn't put on masks. She doesn't hide behind them. She is just Robin.
Yes,
And
for sure.
she is-
There's no doubt about
yeah,
that.
she
Nobody's
is.
wearing a mask anymore.
Yeah.
And we always wear masks, people. We always wear masks. When I'm having a bad day and I walk in the shop, I put on that happy mask.
Yeah,
even
we're always
though
happy.
You have to.
I like the idea of
do.
bins. We were going to do that
Yeah.
here, but we found out how much it was going to cost
Oh.
to convert everything over, and it was like,
Well,
you know what,
yeah,
no,
it's
boxes
costing
are
me a
just
little
fine.
bit, but
We did it, and
Yeah.
we switched away from it.
Did
See,
you?
Really?
Why?
Again, because of the beautiful boxes.
Yeah.
They are eye catchers.
And you
like
have-
I said, I'm against them, but I'm for them. You open up some of these boxes and they have the Vista, which is, of course, the piece that's printed inside the lid, and you go, oh, I'd like to frame that. But the downside to the bins is everything starts looking the same.
well, that's the thing I want. I want everything to be consistent. And when I look at my humidors, there are some of them where you've got a tall box, a short box. It's just from a design perspective, which is my background, that up and down and all that all over is just, but I have the cases again. Now, if you have a walk-in, it's completely different. So over in Mount Holly in our walk-in, oh, we're gonna keep the boxes. And we do our best to make sure they show really well because people look for that. But in our cases, there's just, a lot of the lids, I mean, sometimes on the top shelf, I have to break the lids off because I can't get a box to fit in there.
I hate to
Right.
do
Yeah.
that.
And I
Yeah,
hate
it's
doing
terrible.
that too.
I hate
So
stacking boxes
I
too.
hate
Yeah.
turning them
Terrible.
sideways.
I
don't
know.
like doing that
So
either.
what we're gonna do is just go to bins and we'll see how it works.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a little bit of an investment and
I see a lot of.
Unfortunately, the consistency and the size of these boxes is a problem too.
Yeah.
oh,
If you
yeah,
look at these,
definitely.
right in back of us.
These are old
I
boxes
got
too,
to
but
point to the, what is that right there?
this
The
one.
old- Yeah.
That's the
See that?
Dano.
Okay, that's,
Oh,
the
that-
Dano, wow.
Yeah.
That's how old they are.
Great cigar. That's a shelf-friendly box. In fact, most of them here, the Cohiba is not.
Yes.
They're not. They're not. But if you're a new cigar, like a lot of new companies want to come out with a box that size, and I'm like, no, you need something like you need eye appeal. Like if you've got 3 boxes and it takes up this much space, like it's going to take our salesmanship, and I've got 1,000 other cigars on that, you know.
But then you get extremes.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
this Christmas, we had these. Oh, a good example would be the Spectra,
Yeah.
which was in that big metal box,
Yeah.
about this wide, with these big wings that open up on either side. That's counter material. You can't put it on the shelf.
Right.
Right.
That's where.
And
the
you can't put it on a
bins-
counter either because
That's
you
where
only
the
have so
bins
much.
work
Yeah,
out really
exactly.
well.
That is.
And
It's-
Well, and this has been a recent topic with the LCA, you know, packaging as it pertains to, are we marketing this to adult smokers, or is there some crossover into the Muppets and candy bars and fruit? So it's a dangerous dynamic. And so we're teetering on this, this edge, and that edge may or may not be good at the moment, but with what may be coming down from the federal government, that can get real tricky too. So there's those two sides, but some manufacturers take it to the extreme, and I'll use My Father Cigars as one of them. They won't send you bundles. Their whole idea is we are a box selling entity. We are not selling bundles. This is our product. This is how we present it. It's important how it's presented. We are not selling you bundles. And you wish that you could have the tobacco if you don't have it, but at the same time, you have to understand their viewpoint on it is that we're a premium product. It comes completely clothed. This is not piecemeal, and so you have to respect that at the same time, because there is beauty in those boxes.
Absolutely.
And there is something about the old tradition of this industry being forever long, always coming in those boxes, and people love those boxes. You can make it a revenue stream as well. People buy the empty boxes.
Yeah.
So it's but that packaging thing, it's important. I mean, the Leaf does a great job with it. If you didn't have packaging and we were in Australia and everything's got black bands on it, that'd be a lot less customer friendly, interactive humidor.
You touched on something that I wanted to. If we only have 3 minutes left, believe it or not, that I wanted with the LCA. I've actually made a conscious effort not to bring in stuff that I think could be construed as marketing to kids. Now I sort of made it. I ordered the yellow cake. And I wasn't thinking about that, but I actually changed I took all of the cupcakes and stuff off of any of the promotions, and I actually put in the original, like, yellow cake was supposed to be the uranium. But I'm starting to make a conscious effort not to bring in a Cookie Monster or a candy bar and stuff like that because of...
In their defense, they're trying to get away from it too.
I hope they are.
You've seen the labels where they have carefully taken and crossed out certain names that were on the cigar.
And they're certainly not the only one. That was just the example I used.
No, there's lots of companies that do it.
I mean, Robert, he, if it's not copyright infringed, he doesn't want to do it. Land of Snakes and everything else he puts.
He
out
loves
there.
to be controversial.
He likes to be on the edge. Yeah. So
I hope he goes to the PCA. I just want to see what he comes up with.
I do too.
I just want to see what he does.
So funny.
Yeah.
So what are we going to do with 2 minutes left? So
Well,
much
I'm going to
more
talk
don't
about
know.
our empty boxes. We sell our empty boxes for $2 a box. Some of them I'll sell for more if I think they're worth more. And, I mean, they're all worth more than that. But people give a donation, and we give the money to the Voorhees Animal Orphanage.
That's awesome.
So everything goes to them.
We do the same thing.
That's
cool.
SPCA.
That's cool.
SPCA, yep. We're the Smoking Dogs,
Cigars
so
for Warriors.
we're
Oh, that makes
big about
sense.
dogs, yeah.
I throw the
And
stupid
we do
things
Cigars
out.
for Warriors as well. Yeah, that's a great organization.
I sell them for my
So-
son James's college education.
You know what, though? That's a great idea right there. I should get it for my granddaughter.
What do you guys think of this cigar? I mean, we're not going to really have
Oh.
a chance to review it, but I mean, we just
It's a
I've
good
loved
this
cigar.
cigar
It's,
for years.
it's a really good cigar.
of the four. What's your favorite wrapper?
Mine's the Corojo.
Yeah?
I just love that Corojo. I could smoke that every day.
I'll go with that.
Yeah.
I like the Maduro.
I like the Maduro. also.
I'm a Sumatra.
Oh,
Wow.
the Sumatra
Really?
is
All across
good,
the
but
board.
it's-
Yeah.
Frank?
Yeah, Frank Sinatra. Yes, that's
Yeah.
good. You know what? That's not bad.
That's
I
funny
like
since
that.
we're all
Sumatra.
smoking the Connecticut.
Right.
One of us named it.
You know what? That's that's what we do. We all smoke
Yeah.
the same cigar. We review it, but I didn't want to enter. I didn't want to change the conversation flow because it was going really well. Which
And the Connecticut.
I gotta
great.
say,
It's
this
just
is-
too mild for me.
this might be the best show we've ever done.
We've got 35 seconds to thank everybody.
Thank you guys. There.
Hey, and thank you
was
guys
great.
for bringing us in.
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
we've talked about it for years, like you
Yeah,
said,
and
and
I
so
apologize
excited
for
to
it
be
taking
here.
so long, but it was great to have you guys. and,
Yeah, it
like
was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
we've always said, support, and we're putting our money where our mouth is. Support your local retailer. They've got lounges. Smoke their cigars. Don't bring a cigar in that you didn't buy
thank
there.
That's an argument all the time.
Come in,
gotta
That's
go.
another
down.
show.
Thanks.
Enjoy.
Ciao for now, everybody.
Thank
It's a
you.
great
Life's
deal.
too
It's a
short to
great
smoke
culture.
cheap cigars.